Welcome to the Friendly Aussie Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Friendly Aussie Podcast, the show where fun meets cannabis culture and we love to have a great little conversation. Today's episode is a special one, albeit a bit delayed. We're finally releasing this little gem after a 4-month wait, and trust me, it's been worth the wait. In this episode, I have the pleasure of chatting with Mitch and Nich from GreenHeart Medical. These guys are the epitome of regular Aussie blokes who took a leap into the world of cannabis. Their journey is an inspiration, as it is fascinating, as you'll get to hear all about it. A quick fact, I met Mitch on Reddit several years ago, and little did I know that interaction would spark his journey into the cannabis industry. So in a way, this episode is a little bit of a full circle moment. And yep, by tradition, we're pretty baked right from the start, so expect a little bit of laughs, a few unexpected turns, and some pretty interesting chats about nursing, working in a clinic, a little bit about the pharmacy model, and the things that patients have to deal with in this industry. So grab a snack, sit back, enjoy this podcast, and I'll see you in the next one. How are we, boys?
Fucked up.
Yeah, a little bit. We're a bit medicated.
We're a little bit medicated. It's all good.
We've been hitting that Struden glass.
We have indeed.
And a little bit of the Seroma. And life's pretty good. It's a Friday night and we're here just hanging out at the Fab Studios. And I thought it was cool to kind of bring you guys on because you guys came from, I guess, just, I don't know, is the street the right word? Like, you guys just were in other industries. You know, you had nothing really to do with cannabis other than smoking bags of PGR on the weekends. And you were interested and wanted to work in this industry. And well, Mitch approached me one day and asked, how the fuck do you get in this industry? And I was like, well, you just fucking talk to people. And he did that, and he wound up here.
That's basically it, mate. Just kind of right place, right time for me, so.
That's it. So now, I kind of want to get, like, the full story. I want to get a little bit about, like, what got you guys interested in cannabis? Like, where did the cannabis love or passion or, I don't know, medication start? And how did we become two blokes that work in the medicinal cannabis industry here?
It's a good question.
Yeah, well, I guess I was smoking PGR, waiting, you know, for the standard hour and a half at the Macca's car park for Darren to show up.
Fucking Darren, bro. Like, fucking, is it even his real name? I don't know.
I don't know,
but
man.
I'm swearing it every fucking minute. Fucking Darren, come on, cunt.
And I was lucky enough one day I went to a mutual friend's birthday party, went to Topgolf, have a smack around, and a mutual friend in the back seat started rolling up a fatty, and me being, you know, a smoker myself, I went, oh, okay, what's going on here? And he told me he worked for a wholesale distributor for medicinal cannabis, and I said, wow, that's like my dream to work in medicinal cannabis, you know. And he said, well, man, we're looking for someone, so, you know, send me through a resume. And a week later I was in the office for an interview and started in the industry.
Damn, here we are.
Pretty quick.
Yeah.
Mitch?
Well, like you said, man, like, I hit you up and you said just start talking to people, start hitting them. So basically I just hit there, and I just hit the websites. I found basically every medicinal cannabis business in Australia, and then I narrowed it down to Queensland, and then I tried to narrow it a bit more down to Brisbane, and then I just started sending emails out. I probably sent about 15 to 20 emails out.
That's pretty good return. What, 15, 20 emails? What's that going to take you? Maybe like 2-3 days with the research?
Man, yeah, well, not even that. It took me a day.
There you go.
Basically, I just found, the Australian government has it all on their website if you just go to the right place, so basically lists all the names, the emails for it, so, and the websites to go to. So basically hit that, started, like I said, sent those emails out, and I was actually lucky enough to get an email back probably half an hour later from where I'm actually currently working from, Cangia. And he said, hey mate, like, how you going? Like, I'm really interested. Let's meet up for a coffee. Next week, met up for a coffee. 2 weeks later, I was starting there helping to build the facility. So that's kind of, how I got into the scene. But before that, 10 years Sparky, just, you know, slaving away, slave to the dollar, you know.
I mean, we're always still a bit of a slave to the dollar, but at least we're doing it with something we kind of
Well,
rather
that's
than
it.
enjoy.
I mean, yeah, I kind of thought, what do I like doing?
Smoking dope.
I like smoking weed. Plus, it's a conversation starter,
Yeah.
You talk to anybody, what do you do for a job? Well, actually, I work in medicinal cannabis. Well, okay, no worries. Tell me more about that.
Fucking, what do you mean?
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah.
Basically, a legal drug dealer is what they say as a joke. So it's all pharmaceutical.
Yeah, meanwhile, it's like, I don't know, man. I think I'm a legal plant dealer.
Yeah.
Like, drugs are fucking pills and God knows what else.
Yeah, 100%. I know what it is, but all the regulations, with Queensland Health and so forth, you got to have your medical controlled drug register and so forth like that, and it's all about the wordings. It literally is, unfortunately, it's
In the same
it's a
category as
pharmaceutical.
ketamine, yeah.
Yeah, it's a pharmaceutical company, and all the paperwork is exactly the same.
Yep.
And yeah, it literally goes like that. Everything in there, it's called dealings, not transactions. It's all the.
Well, that's really awkward, isn't it?
It is. It's, when they told us that, we were like, oh, okay, no worries. That
So really legal dealers. We really are legal
that
dealers.
just makes us more legit, I guess. So.
Oh, man. The whole thing that I always reflect on now is like, fuck, should have became a pharmacist.
Yeah, 100%.
Right, bro. If we became pharmacists, we'd be around weed all day, getting to sniff it, look at it.
Right,
You
compounding
compound that
fathers.
shit. Oh, imagine fucking getting told in year 12, oh, if you just want to bag weed for the rest of your life, become a pharmacist. You need an OP like 4 or whatever the fuck. But, or an ATAR, wherever the fuck you're from, But maybe that would have incentivized some people, being like, shit, if I want to fucking get into the weed game, I need to study.
Mm-hmm.
I think life would be a bit different.
Especially if they knew how much control in the industry that
They actually
pharmacists
hold.
actually hold, man. They really do have a lot of power.
Yeah?
Yep.
Tell us a little more.
Well, I'll give you an example, right? Let's say, you have a GP from a clinic. He sends a script up to a pharmacy.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of different clinics, they prescribe differently. So you might have a GP that prescribes based on a brand product. You also have GPs that prescribe on a percentage range. So
Yeah.
my script, for example, I'm on a 22 to 27% percentage range. So I get to choose what products I want in that range. Pharmacies have the new incoming power that with a good relationship with the doctor, they can actually consult with the doctor when a script comes in and say, look, I think that, this product might actually be better for the patient. And that is a very valuable, dynamic there. The fact that a pharmacy can ultimately be the last point of reference when the actual decision's being made for the drug being dispensed. So, from a clinic standpoint, I think, having really good relationships with pharmacies and being able to provide them with the best education possible on what you're prescribing for and stuff, I think that's really important because they really do wield a big sword coming in.
What's interesting to me there is it really kind of comes down to the doctor prescribing as well. So because that is really advantageous if it's just a regular GP prescribing, because the GP doesn't necessarily have that specific cannabis knowledge, but the pharmacist will.
Exactly.
But then we have the clinics that, are a little more featured around actual cannabis doctors, where they have this cannabis specific knowledge, where those clinics, they would rather, hold, the product that they see as fit because they've been working with them so well. Right, they understand, this is interacting with these patients in this way, and this gives most of this outcome. So they don't want the pharmacist to change those scripts. They actually put no substitutions on them.
Yeah,
that's a pretty common one because they have that relationship. Whether that's right or wrong, I don't know. It's kind of who's more right, the pharmacist or the doctor?
Yeah, I understand from the clinical standpoint, definitely, but a big issue that I'm finding with a lot of brand products is that you'll notice, a brand product will come out 22%, it's got X amount of terpenes to the flower. Same branded product will come out, 6-8 months later, different batch. It's a completely different product almost. It's not actually, and unfortunately it's because you can't really control the outcome 100%, the actual process of growing cannabis is so much different to your conventional in a chemist lab.
It's not the same molecule all the time.
Exactly. So I mean, the clinical tracking and keeping people on the same product, there's a good argument there, but I think also that with the fact that certain products change and switch so much, and
You need that variance.
and you don't want to run into the instance where you have, dodgy clinics popping up that are script funding and they're only prescribing
their
certain
branded
product, and they're subpar products. They're prescribing things to people that aren't actually what they should be taking. And
The analogy I've always used for this is like, could you imagine a doctor just being like, cool, what do we want to call my name? Let's call myself Dr. Bobby. I'm going to give you Dr. Bobby's Oxycontin. The fuck do you mean?
Yeah, it's a strange thing, yeah.
But then at the same time, here's my argument for where maybe that's okay. Because what's happening, for those that don't know, in the medicinal cannabis space, there's so much white labeling happening with cannabis. So, you will have the same strain being sold by 4 different companies under 4 different names and brands. Really frustrating as a patient because, is there anything different between it? You don't know. But the advantage I could see if a doctor or a clinic that's reserving their own buds, if they're providing those buds at a cheaper cost and it's they're reasonable, there might be a case for, would you call that the generics? But again, it's a problem when they're only limiting their patients to that product range. That's where I think most of us are finding the frustration in the industry. It's clinics shouldn't be allowed to do that because that's just their for-profit model. They're really, really trying to grab every dollar from the patient.
Yeah, and it's ultimately because they know that patient retention is the biggest struggle for clinics. It's even actual patient acquisition. It's a difficult task in and of itself, but getting a patient in and providing good enough quality care that they're willing to stay with you, that is the difficult thing that a lot of clinics are finding now. And a great example of this is I actually had a chat with Matt Shales not long ago. He's a well-known bloke.
Yeah, he's been on the podcast.
And he was telling me about, some clinics, they've got a patient coming in, she's got endometriosis, pain symptoms from endometriosis. And this clinic's prescribed her an 18% sativa flower for inhalation, right?
Yeah.
Now, there's products on the market that are clinically tested to treat endometriosis pain. They're actual topical creams that you put on the vagina. So for the fact that they're
prescribing the wrong thing.
They're giving someone a flower product to inhale when it's not even the right thing that they should be being given. So I think that and with more regulation, that is going to start to get curbed and stomped out quickly.
It's also a lot of education.
And education.
That's the big problem. Some doctors, they've been trained. It's frustrating because what you're having is you've effectively got pharmaceutical companies that are selling the flower or the products or those oils or the balms or whatever, coming up to the doctor and telling him, our products are fucking sick. Here is what you should be prescribing your patients that are asking medicinal cannabis. Those people that are telling those doctors those things, they could be someone that doesn't understand cannabis at all and they're just a pharmaceutical company that's into this industry. They could be someone that completely understands the plant and has come from the culture and understands cannabis and what's good quality, but they don't necessarily understand the medicinal side. But the one fact that kind of remains is most of the time the people that are kind of telling the doctors what to prescribe, they don't actually have any medical history, anywhere. They're not trained in any regard.
Yep.
They're only fed marketing material through whichever company they come through and whoever their suppliers are.
Yep.
So who's the right person that these doctors should actually be listening to in terms of what products to be choosing for their patients? It's really other doctors and other pharmacists.
Yeah, and that's the unfortunate thing, right, is that because we don't have all of the data and research compiled into one area in an education
Hub.
a hub sort of thing,
Yeah.
right? Because that doesn't exist, it sort of means that medical professionals lag in their education level. So certain people that are really interested and really buckle down and learn about it, they're going to shoot to the top. But the ones that are entering in and obviously money's a big motivator for doctors. They spend so much time at university, so much time, getting paid really bad wage. I think that, the motivation to actually learn about it isn't there. It's more so, look, this is a great way to break into a growing industry and make the money. So.
Well, the thing I hear from a lot of the clinics that are normally the cheaper clinics or even the free clinics, that have the initial appointments, you know, they're often like a 5, maybe 10-minute appointment. And, you know, like, you're not really getting to know the patient, the history.
Yeah.
You know, like, how much can you do in that amount of time? It's generally just like a scripted flick. Tick, box, yep, cool, here's your weed. You know, truly the definition of a legal dealer. And, like, look, we're Friendly Aussie Buds. We're a recreational podcast. I'm all for those fucking doctors. You guys are doing a great fucking job helping us get weed. Like, honestly, keep it up. But if you have someone with real medicinal things, please spend the time to actually learn and help them. Because, like, one, it's literally your duty of care, you fuck.
Yes.
So that's probably the thing that I'd like to point out the most. But really, they just need to get that education going. Or if they don't have it and, you know, their patients are truly unwell or, you know, they need that support, man, refer them or say, maybe I'm not the person to talk to. Maybe you need to go see a deeper cannabis specialist, like someone that really has more in-depth knowledge, that has devoted a lot of their life towards understanding how to treat medicinal things, you know, with cannabis.
Yeah,
So,
definitely. I mean,
that's my rant.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you, man. It's there's, you know, certain patients that if like I've had one patient before that she's actually like in a current care plan with multiple specialists, and a requirement for her to be put onto treatment is that, like, we get a letter from her specialist saying that they're willing to do this. And I think that because I've come from the care industry, I'm a nurse before I got into this job, so I think that it's having the patient at the absolute center of the business model is the only way that you're going to be able to flourish. Yeah,
Patient-centered approaches, you know, it makes the most sense. I personally look at, like, patient-focused with clinical outcomes. I think those are the two key things, because tracking those clinical outcomes, I think, helps patients see how well they've progressed and lets them actually reflect on their use. Because this is the thing I kind of think about for a lot of us, like, recreational smokers that have now kind of came into the medicinal and we're like, hey, I'm a medicinal patient. The thing is, we are. Like, we might be ADHD, maybe we're anxious, maybe we're a little depressed, maybe we just have really bad stress and it helps us, you know, unwind. I think those are all very valid reasons to be able to medicate. But we all kind of know it's like, we're just here to get high, guys.
I'd be lying if I said I didn't smoke to get high.
We enjoy the feeling, we enjoy the conversation, we enjoy all of that. It's like, it's part of the high is part of the medicating.
Yeah, definitely.
That's what's really frustrating when you're talking to, like, people who don't understand it. Yeah. It allows us as medicinal patients, if we're looking at those clinical outcomes, to be like, oh shit, I've been using more. Why am I using it more? Like, how am I using it? And, like, it lets you kind of think about, like, where's your use coming from? Why are you medicating? So I've had a guy on the podcast, Abhinav. He's a guy in the US. It was a really good little cast where it was like professional development with cannabis. Like, how do you treat cannabis as a tool rather than, like, you know, something you abuse, you know, like alcohol, like you're just drinking it to get fucked up. How do you put it in that tool perspective? And one of the things of his big strategies is whenever you use cannabis is to always ask, why am I using this? And it's not like to judge yourself in the sense of, like, oh, I'm just, like, wanting to relax. It's more just so you know what are the triggers that are causing you to want to medicate. Because I think so many stoners get into this habit where they're smoking, you know, half ounce to an ounce a week really easily. Like, it's so easy to get up to that limit because your tolerance builds and the more you smoke. And it's like you enjoy the act of smoking. It's kind of a vibe, right? But to get that understanding of why you're doing it, if you're medicating that heavily and it's not for pain, there's something going on that you're trying to avoid, right? Like, that's what I notice. 100%. If you're medicating that heavily, it's that negative emotion or that negative feeling or whatever you want to fucking call it in the back of your head that you're just trying to push further and further back. And I know this because I'm guilty of it. I do it. But, you know, I think when you have that medicinal approach and you're kind of having that talk with the doctor, it lets you go, oh, fuck, I guess I should probably respect my boundaries with what I've set with the doctor. It at least lets you reflect on it. But again, that's only if you've got the doctor that's kind of putting in that effort, or the nurses as well. You know, the nurses you talk to are really quite key to understand how you're medicating.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, So
Sorry, a big rant.
we have like a fairly stringent process, and it's not like, obviously I want recreational users to be able to break out of the black market and be able to get good quality, regulated weed that's not
Going to put them into
doesn't
trouble.
have anything in it that's going to jeopardize their health. But unfortunately, because there's TGA requirements, there's certain things that like you need to have a chronic condition. Chronic meaning something that's lasted more than 3 months. Chronic doesn't have to mean that you're dying, right? And this is a common misconception that people don't understand. Like 1 in 3 Aussies are eligible for medicinal cannabis, and that's something that people don't understand, right? So even your rec users that, they are medicating for something, like you said, maybe they've got some inner demons that they need to work through. I think that if they're already, using black market product to self-medicate, why not be able to get them over into, something where it's controlled, it's,
consistent.
There's a consistent
Products,
usually consistent
often better
price.
for most normal people. If you don't know the grower or like you're close to that circle, you've probably unfortunately got some shit weed.
Well, and this is the thing, right? Like New South Wales, crime stats have said that their testing range for THC in their cannabis is between 12 and 14%. That's the average. Now, when you're coming into the medicinal market,
We're starting at like 16.
For flower, it's absolute minimum 16. Like if you're getting something below that, it's because it's a blend product or it's got like a high terp range. So it's like
normally they're 1-to-1. So like CBD to THC, like an 8.8 or a 12.6 or something. That's what I notice.
Yeah. So like I think that even for the medicinal side, I think that there's still a lot of recreational users that are like using it as a medicine, and they are eligible. That's the big thing, is that the stigma around cannabis is slowly drifting away, and ideally, if we can have people not, having to do what I was doing years ago, waiting in the car park.
Mate, when I drive around town, I'm like, picked up weed there, picked up weed there, picked up weed there. Hey, babe, did you know I picked... Yes, I know you picked up weed there. Anyway, I picked up weed like all over Brisbane.
Well, it's a story as well.
I've even driven to fucking Toowoomba to pick up some Durban poison before. It was fucking good as. Got high as fuck in the Japanese garden and watched ducks for 2 hours while I was fucking cooked off my head. It was great.
It sounds like a beautiful day that day.
It was so good. It was a spring day too. It was crisp.
Yeah, I mean, but that's the thing. Fuck, actually, no. I just lost my train of thought.
You've had some pretty funny pickups.
No, that's right. That's what I'm saying. Like that was the thing. So coming from the black market, I guess, like you're having all those funny, dodgy stories that you used to have, and now kind of getting away from the black market and kind of having like a little bit of safeguard, I guess, where if you're gonna be pulled over and you have it on you, at least you're gonna have it in. Ideally, if you keep it in the same jar that you get it in, it's gonna have all your name, your prescription on it. You're gonna have a reason to have it on you.
Yeah, why you've got cannabis on you.
Yeah, that's it. Like now, I'm not going into any like talks about like if you're driving and so forth. Like that's another talk. I'm not talking about that. I'm just saying if you're walking down the street or so forth, at least you have that little bit of safeguard.
There's that
there for you.
And if you are a medicinal patient, you are allowed to vaporize in smoking areas.
Well, that's it.
Exactly.
That's, I mean, I've gotten high at many a pubs, and everyone's like, "Oi, what's that?" And I'm like, "Let me tell you."
Yeah, and
what flavour vape is that, bro? Is that the new cherry cola or something, bro? Or like with nicotine?
Nah, bruh, it's the Kush.
And there's a lot of new, utensils coming out that are making it even healthier and healthier to consume too. It's not as bad as what it once.
Yeah, we're no longer ripping Gatos unless you're one of us. Speaking of, I think I'm going to pack this Corona because I'm going to give a nice tasty treat to the... Fucking, do we want to have the... What's it called? Is it the Euroka? Or do I want to have the Queen Sangria? These are the big decisions, but I think we're going to do...
Euroka's the mango, right?
No, that's the Euroka's the mango.
Mango. I don't think I smelt this one before.
Didn't you? It's a
that's the one
fucking
from the
beaut.
beginning.
That's the Sadovite Euroka. It's a sour mango, and it's got like nice tones of diesel underneath.
Oh, yeah.
That kind of mango-y sour. Like it's pretty good. It's 29% apparently. It doesn't hit as hard as I would expect for a 29%er, but the Queen Sangria, this thing is just fruity and yummy. Like fucking.
It's got a nice nose to it.
See, and here we are, just enjoying the smell of some motherfucking flowers. Like,
I appreciate the flower as
you
well.
know, and this is kind of what the medicinal industry, when you're not talking to like people who are into cannabis, don't understand. We want to be able to try different products because we like the smells, the taste, the look, the feel. It's part of the experience of medicating. It keeps you fucking grounded and present. This is something I think that just gets dismissed. You know, it's a sensory experience as part of. To me, that's just as part of like the medicating as the medicating itself, because it's that like warm up towards medicating. It's like that ritual, and it's like here's maybe that one constant in life that helps me ground myself and come back to. So I don't know. I love looking at weed. I love smelling weed. It's and I'm sure you boys are the same.
Definitely, yeah.
100%.
Even from the clinical side, man. I mean, there's a bit of evidence out there. I don't know if it's set in stone, but there is evidence out there that, you know, long-term use of certain strains, you will start to lose effect, or at the very
strain
least,
tolerance
you
is
know,
real.
you'll minimise effect. So I mean, you know, from it to, like, I personally, I have ADHD.
Yep.
You know, I was a former rugby player, so before I was 17, I'd had 2 full knee reconstructions. So I, you know, chronic pain, early onset arthritis. I was eating about 400 milligrams of tramadol a day at one point, which if anyone knows much about tramadol, they'll know that's almost on the seizure point. So it's, you know, I was eating quite copious amounts of, you know, synthetic opioids to deal with my pain, and at the time, I was also very anti-cannabis as well. I was a amateur pro rugby player, and
It's frowned upon a little bit, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's when you're an athlete, you know, if you're not drinking piss with the boys on the weekend, you're a pussy, and if you're smoking weed, you're a pussy. So
yeah, it's almost like it's implied that weed kind of like lowers your testosterone.
Yeah, they say that, but I mean, I'd be very skeptical about that. It's not very.
I reckon weed does kind of like ruin your drive a little bit.
Maybe
especially when you're medicated, right? Like you get a little more like complacent. You get that like, I'll relax a little more. And it's like, I don't need to worry about that. I find that comes on, and it's like if you're using regularly, that becomes a bit of personality.
Yeah, potentially.
Especially if you're medicated.
If you stay active, like I think that staying active is the big thing. So
Yeah.
like I am, you know, I'm someone that uses every day. But I'm also like pretty active. I exercise like at least, you know, every couple of days.
Yeah.
Like a strenuous exercise. So I think that plays a massive role in it too. But there's some data out there about lowering semen
Yeah, I've seen
levels,
that.
like the sperm cell levels. So like yeah, to say there's absolutely no downsides is just, you know, a bit silly.
There's definitely things out there.
There's
but,
trade-offs.
But you know, there's other ways that I might be medicating that are definitely, well, they definitely have more side effects, I guess is how it
Yeah, man. Like,
so many people drink for their pain. Like I always found that like
Bro, I used to be a big drinker.
big drinker.
Yeah. Maybe not like considered like what a big drinker is, but for me, like a big drinker, like coming
Daily
home.
drinker?
Yeah, coming home every night after work and easily sink in 4. You know, I'd grab one from the fridge as I just walk in, and I'd neck it, and then I'd grab another one for the shower.
Yeah.
And I'd have a shower beer.
beers.
And I had the little,
shower
bro, I got
beers.
the stubby holder in the shower as well, stuck to the wall, like shower beers, man. Like, and then I'll just keep drinking until like it kind of took that edge off to kind of deal with the afternoon, like troubles of like parenthood and everything.
That's
such a tradie thing too, I reckon.
Yeah, 100%.
It's
I hear that from most tradies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
like knockoff beers and stuff like that. Like
Yeah.
it's just, you know.
I know so many traders that buy that sixer and they're drinking it on the way home. Like you're like,
mean,
"Fuck,
yeah.
bro," like
Yeah.
it's so bad.
Well, a lot of bosses, man, like on the site, sometimes
They'll
they'll
bring
rock
a
up on a
carton.
Friday and
Bring the
it's
carton.
stubbies for the boys, you know, and like especially when you're in the hard trades like brickies and concrete and stuff like that, they'll treat you real good because of how hard the work is. So.
Oh, mate, like I said, like used to be a Sparky, man. I'm still technically I still am a Sparky, but I mean,
Yeah,
we
Sparky
used to
forever, man.
get paid in slabs, mate. Like that's what you do. Like you,
Certified.
Yeah, certified.
you know, test and tag for the boys. You know, how much that going to be? Slab. All right, no worries, too easy. Like,
Yeah,
it's worked in.
beer is payment.
Yep.
Beer is reward. I don't know. I quit drinking last year around my birthday, which was last week. So it's been about a year, but I've had a few beers and stuff since, but not like fuck all. I did have like 5 drinks on a January night for a gig, but after that I pretty much haven't drank, and I'm kind of like, I think I'm just gonna keep that up, see how long it
100%.
lasts.
Yeah,
I'm not like, there's just no attachment, but it's, for me, the funny thing with culture is it's like you tell people that you're not drinking, they're like, oh, why is that? Like, do you have a problem? Like, it's like, I think it's you that has the problem, not me if I'm saying no to alcohol. Like,
Definitely.
what? And meanwhile, like, but if you tell them, it's like, oh, no, I smoke weed. They're like, oh, okay. Like, you know, they'll judge you differently on it. But it's like, but I don't drink, but I smoke. It's
That's
like,
it.
I don't know, that's always been like a little bit of a funny topic to me. I just, I had a few experiences when I was young where I had family that were like pretty heavy drinkers. You know, they'd do the carton between 2 maybe in a day, and they were like visiting on holidays. And it's just like, you just see that like alcohol behavior. You're like, fuck, I don't like these people.
Yeah.
And it's like, why don't I like them? And it's like, the only thing I can see is like, there's all these fucking bottles. And I think that's probably part of what made me really reject trying to go into the party scene of drinking culture after school and all of that. And I never even got into weed till after high school, but I got into shisha during high school, and that was my gateway, like smoking fucking flavored tobacco. And I'm like,
And even then, like, flavored tobacco probably, like, as a teenager would have been way more acceptable than
weed, fuck yeah.
than cannabis.
Oh, bro, cops came,
Yeah.
caught us in the park smoking, and they were like, we like kind of got nervous, so we hid it away.
Yeah.
And they like wanted to see it, and they sniffed the bowl, and they was like, oh, minty. And we're like, yeah, it's just like mint flavor. And they're like, oh, okay. And when they were like questioning us on this, it's like, oh, it's family tradition, it's ethnic, like it's a culture, like it's what we do. And they fucking let us go nothing. It was like but they were like pretty sure, because the neighbor would have been like, these kids are smoking weed in the park.
Yeah.
Actually, that's a cool story. Girlfriend, when she vapes, like some sativas that are like quite high strength and just certain types, she can feel the anxiety come on as soon as she's like kind of inhaling, and they just kind of get her heart fluttering a little bit if she like stays on that high. It's really, really interesting, like just sensitive to certain sativas.
Is that a mental thing though as well, or like?
No, like this sativa she likes.
Gave her a straight up, no, but I mean, like if you kind of just gave her like, if you just gave her a vape or whatever, and she didn't know what was in it.
She'd probably be fine, but if it was something that would give her the anxiety, she'd pick up on it.
Should pick up on it straight away. The same.
Yeah. So like once I handed her one, it was the ANTG Solace. That fucking, it really does. It's quite fucking speedy and cracky, that fucker. It hits hard. Yeah, I don't really like the ANTG products. They've all kind of got this like, I don't know, it doesn't taste great. Like there's like, they all kind of smell the same, and there's something in their curing and flush process that just doesn't seem right. Anywho, but that Solace was one of like earlier days was one of the stronger products on the market, and it was fucking fire, beautiful crystally nugs.
I think you guys are fucking moving their cultivation facility anyway. So like,
there's a lot of changes for them.
Yeah, they should have some new stuff coming.
But what I was getting to was I packed a vape of it, like a Mighty or whatever, and she I handed it to her. She didn't know what it was. And she just got a bit anxious from it, like straight away. And she's like, "Oh, is this the Solace?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Oh, no."
Yeah, right.
So
that's interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, Ash gets anxiety from sativas as well. That's why she doesn't smoke sativas.
Yeah, she only smokes indica dominant.
Yeah.
But she said flowers. So apparently, like with oils though, it's like a little bit different. She doesn't get it as bad with the oils.
Yeah, oils. You're not really, because it's not the terpenes that you're really taking in.
No, that's right.
Yeah, no, I've known a bunch of people that really do get that anxiety from sativas, and they just straight up stay away from them. Every time they've had it, they've had just panic attacks or a bit of a meltdown, and
You're right.
yeah, I don't know. I guess, yeah. That's things doctors should know. But the other problem is it's like sometimes doctors go, oh, okay, you've got anxiety, I'm not giving you a sativa. There's some doctors that just make that distinction because they've been told that once. But it's like not all sativas are like that. You just that's again where you kind of need to know about strain and product selection and terpene profiles. But I'd say more often than not, it's strain.
Did you see the recent clinical study from Harvard about psychosis patients being treated with THC and CBD?
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, and they said that there is low to zero evidence that THC increases psychotic symptoms.
Huh.
So, and that's from Harvard, and they're like pretty
fucking Harvard Medical's top. Seems like you can't get much better.
You can't get much better than them. I think Brown's like sort of like on the same level as them, but
it's a top, like it's the elites of the medical.
I
think the other one is that.
I'll zip that through to you at some
that'd be
point.
cool,
but that was December 2022, so it's recent. It's like within 10 months.
That's super interesting.
Yeah,
because like I've had the very racy thoughts from when you've just smoked too fucking much and you're like, holy shit, like the anxious mind takes over a little more. It comes and goes. So I've always kind of understood like how cannabis can cause psychosis, cannabis-induced psychosis. But for me, the way I've always seen like the psychosis argument is like anything can cause that. It's just a matter of that trigger happening at that certain moment. Like you could be drunk and get put into a state of psychosis. You could be sober even. Like something can just snap. And I guess maybe you can argue that it's for the harm reduction that we don't introduce cannabis to people who are at risk of all of that.
Yeah, exactly.
I understand it, but it seems like a lot of the people with psychosis often need a way to calm down. And it seems to me that the pharmaceutical drugs lead to so many more negative outcomes than the cannabis. Like, it's so frustrating to me that they've made it that cannabis is like the last line of effort. When to me, it probably should be the first line. Before you jump on the pills, because
definitely,
like it just seems a little less intense on your liver and your body, and side effects are always fucking less. Never have I ever taken a pill where I'm not like scratching myself or something odd's happening to my body that feels weird. Cannabis doesn't make me feel odd.
Not only that, are you also like, whenever you take a pill, like even just to like a medical pill, you're always looking at what's on the box and what drugs are actually in it. Like cannabis is just a plant.
Yeah.
It grows in the dirt just like tomatoes and anything else.
But I mean, technically, you can go like, so does heroin as a plant.
Well,
but
it's the way you process it afterwards.
In moderation, right?
The fact that all we have to do with cannabis is fucking dry it out, like, it's a pretty clean, like, oh, that crop just could have died and it dried out. And it was like, oh, what could we do with this?
Yeah.
Like where heroin or fucking cocaine with the coca leaves, it's like a whole process. Though with the coca leaves, you can chew them, right? Yeah. And that's the whole thing. People do. And they actually get that nice stimulant buzz. And it's pretty fucking reasonable.
And they still do, I believe, in Peru.
Everywhere.
They use it for altitude sickness. So when you're climbing it up. So
I think the conventional medication, though, is, like you said, with the... Lyrica is a great example of this. Right?
Oh, yeah.
So, people with arthritis will know Lyrica. Like, pregabalin's the actual drug name, but pregabalin isn't actually something that should be, a long-term medication. Something that is, temporary term, anywhere between 6 and 9 months, I believe it is. But, I worked, in the care industry. I was looking after some people that their doctors had had them on high-dose Lyrica for going on a decade.
Oh. What's that do to someone?
Oh, well, I mean, it's just... It completely stops you... what do you call it? Have you ever seen someone that goes through cancer treatment, right, and they end up getting packed with lots and lots of drugs?
Mm.
And eventually the drugs just stop working and they have to get a ketamine like pain reset. And after like a ketamine infusion, it'll like reset their pain receptors back.
Yeah.
What Lyrica does is like long-term use of it, it pretty much just makes it so that you're taking heaps of it and it's not doing anything. Essentially, it'll actually impact how other drugs that you're taking work as well. So it's like...
It fries your nervous system, basically.
Essentially, like long-term use of it, it's not good for you. But it's common way more than what it should be, that a lot of doctors will just have some patients on it for, years on end, sometimes upwards of a decade.
Yeah.
When they could be using, CBD oil.
Yeah.
They
to
could
at
be
least
using
alleviate it a little more.
or a THC blend oil with a bit of CBD, so they're getting like that
Just a
that
bit of a
extra
like.
pain relief.
Yeah, the THC is interesting in the sense of like how much pain relief does it actually provide versus how much does it make me forget about the pain.
Well, and that's the thing, right? So, like for cancer-related pain, they reckon high THC oil, like as like
Quite high doses.
yeah, like very high dose. Because I think it's exactly what you said. It's more so like how much is it actually getting rid of the pain rather than how
Just
much am I
disconnecting you from your body.
disconnecting it. Yeah. And I mean, I would much rather that being, you know, common practice treatment than, you know, Gran being put on Lyrica for bloody 10 years and all of the downstream health effects that comes from that, you know, like loss of appetite, so she's not eating properly. And for years on end, that's bad. You know, she's not getting her nutrients, so her bone density goes down. She's
Protein's dropping.
more prone to getting injured, bruised, cut the skin integrity dies. So if she like knocks into
If
a
she was
door,
just cooked as fuck, like
yeah, let's
she'd
get
be
nan
sick.
cooked. We need to get nan cooked, exactly.
We
But-
need bickies. We need
Yeah,
bickies.
but the stigma's there, man. You know, my mum, she was a breast cancer patient for 5 years, went through all the conventional treatments, and you know, she suffered from the symptoms, didn't want to eat, struggled with nausea, you know, and pain was really bad. The amount of painkillers she was on was insane, enough to bloody put an elephant down. And yeah, she would not take THC oil. She would not take
wouldn't consider
CBD
it.
oil. And the main reason was, what if my doctors find out? Well, they might stop treating me, stuff like that.
Yeah,
And-
it's the paranoia.
Yeah, and it's sad to see, you know, because there's a lot of, and it's from the older generation mainly. There's people that could be benefiting from this, like from the medicinal side, that just are being left in the dark. They're like shrooms. They've been left in the dark and fed shit, and
Yeah. They're just
expected to just rot away and die and taking bloody Pfizer products, you know. So it's
yeah. I don't know. The whole medical industry just, you know, as a whole, they're very scared of cannabis because
Yeah.
it is truly such a wonder drug that helps so many conditions, and it doesn't help everything. There's still plenty of room for pharmaceuticals to make their money.
100%, yeah.
It's not even close to taking everything, but for the pain relief, I think, and even just the anti-anxiety, the antidepressant market, definitely I would think you'd be very threatened by cannabis.
Like Ritalin and Concert, like the speed-based behavioural medication,
The stimulants?
they're probably going to get wiped out.
You reckon?
I think so, yeah.
I
so.
still, because like I'm ADHD, and I don't know, the stimulants kind of work a little better and differently to the cannabis, right?
Better, but for like different reasons.
Different
though.
reasons, yeah, right? Like stimulants make you a little more, I call it NPC mode. It makes you like, I'm going point A to point B to point C, and anything interrupting that, well, if you're distracted, I'm still going to get distracted and kind of go down that route. But if I am focused, I'm going to kind of just steamroll my way there. And if you're in my way, I'm very frustrated and I'm doing whatever I can and I'll almost talk through you.
Yeah.
So when you're having those conversations, you're not really absorbing it. You're not really feeling the person when you're on like the stimmies. But if you need to fucking get some shit done, like, and it's like you've got that list and it's like, fuck, if I just can focus and do this, I can get it done. Great. Works good. Yeah. Cannabis, it slows the mind down, right? And I feel like it kind of helps you focus on one thing and enjoy it. It gives you enough of that dopamine release so that that task has become possible. Because I think the biggest problem with ADHD is we just have no tolerance for fucking boredom. If we're bored, we get off topic. We're trying to go figure out where can I get some fucking dopamine? Like, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? But the problem is a lot of the life tasks that we need to do don't fucking give us that dopamine. So that's where the cannabis does help. But the problem I find with cannabis is once you've completed that task, it can be very easy to kind of get into a bit of a like, well, that's good for today, you know, like, or maybe you'll do a little more and you'll keep going. But I find you just operate a little bit slower. And that time perception gets lost and you kind of get lost into trains of thought and you get a little bit too creative. And obviously this depends strain to strain and product to product. Some will work better. But I find a lot of the time it's very hard with cannabis to stay disciplined. With the stimulants, I think it's a little easier. It's still very easy to get off course and it can go way worse. But I think it's a lot easier to stay on course with what you were trying to do. With cannabis is a little more like a wave.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you about the utility of stimulants, but like the issue that I have when it comes to like a long-term treatment is that stimulants, you will die younger. Like you will notice that your like cognition will decline at an earlier age.
True.
With chronic use of stimulants, and like specifically like things like Ritalin and like, you know, like for the black market, you know, alternative amphetamines.
Yeah.
Like they're not a long-term treatment option that like is gonna overall bring the best
benefit.
health.
And they're really just a band-aid, right? Like they're not really curing, and neither is cannabis.
Yeah,
it's
like,
not to the.
Yeah.
It's just sometimes the symptoms of ADHD are just so unmanageable that you need something to help manage them, right?
Yeah.
And I personally think the actual solution is both. It's having the choice. And that's something that's frustrating as fuck in Queensland. If you're prescribed medicinal cannabis, you really should not be allowed to be getting any stimulant medications. They will drug test you if your psychiatrist knows. So, not ideal, but to me, the reality is if you are ADHD, you should be able to pick and choose. You know, these are for these days, these are for these days, and sometimes I'm sober in between because I want to be able to be calm. Like,
Yeah, and I think that's where, you know, it's purely just a result of like lagging behind. Like as everything starts to become more normalized, the laws will all change. I mean, there's been quite a few people that, you know, we've met. We went to like UIC a few weeks ago and we were talking to, you know, the legalized cannabis party representative there. And, you know, there's a lot of work being put in from, you know, pretty big name people in Australia to try and get some of these things pushed through a lot quicker. I know that the driving laws in Queensland are currently...
They're under review.
Yeah, they're going through a review process.
Hopefully they don't pull a fucking Victoria. You guys see that shit? You see that? In Victoria, they're like doing a drug driving review for 18 months where they're doing a trial, but it's a closed off-road trial. So they're going to pick like, you know, a sample of patients and they're going to test their cognition on the roads like throughout an 18-month thing to be like, oh yeah, I guess this is okay. They're just delaying the inevitable.
That's so fucked. I mean, like, there's already been studies on that done anyway, so why
do you need that?
Why, like, who are they? Like, what qualifications do they have? Like, it's just, like you said, it's delaying the inevitable.
Yeah. It's a question of, like, why?
Is that a money maker for them? Revenue
like,
for the
I know
police?
they make money, but I don't feel like they make enough of that to justify. I feel like it actually holds up making more money.
Well, yeah, because it goes through the court system. I mean,
and how much are they going to take from you? They don't take much for that because you then, they're a medicinal patient. The the court will give you like $1,000 fine and you'll lose your license for it, depending on state, 3 to 6 months.
In Queensland, the judges are often throwing the cases out.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like Queensland and New South Wales, which is quite strange to say, Queensland is ahead of Victoria.
We're one of the more...
We are ahead of Victoria, yeah.
We're doing a little better in Queensland. Tassie's doing the best, but it's such an issue because motherfuckers can drive on oxys. They can drive on Valiums and be fucked up, bro. Like, eyes rolling in the back of their head, they can drive legally, technically.
Yeah.
Like, you could be like, technically there's no proof of impairment because they didn't test positive to shit.
They're trying to Trojan horse field sobriety tests in with that logic, though.
What do you mean?
So, the current testing system is like, it's detecting THC in your system, right? It's not actually detecting inebriation. It's not detecting like how fucked up you are.
Yeah.
But that's the argument, right? So they're going, okay, so we'll install field sobriety tests. They've got similar processes in America. It's the whole fucking touch your nose, walk in a straight line shit.
I think that actually works, but I'll tell you why. So, Tom Brown from Honolulu, you guys met, right?
Yeah.
Legend, absolute legend.
Yeah,
he introduced me to an app called Druid, literally DRUID, and what it does is it lets you test yourself before you've medicated, and then you can test yourself after, and it makes you do a few games on your phone, and it's basically like a bit of timing and counting and like a little bit of that, and there's one game where you're balancing on one leg and then on your other leg while you're holding the phone, and it's using the gyro, I guess, or something. Now, what's interesting is ideally you've tested yourself before, but even if you don't, it generally can mark that you're impaired. if I'm sober and I do this, I pass flying colours, no problem. If I'm impaired and I'm like, you know, lightly, like even just a bit toasty with weed, I actually get, like, my score's quite different. It's very bizarre, and I feel like I did just as good, if not better, but it gives me a different score, and it can kind of tell. So the whole thing is, it's like, imagine if cops just had this app and they were like, fucking do this, buddy.
Pull this out
But I
on the
mean,
tablet,
because I've done the app, that I've downloaded the app and I've used it as well. I mean, like, what's to say? Because a lot of it is to do with how quick you react to certain things as well. There is a lot of flashing colours, or maybe not flashing colours, but there's like, you know, tap on the when the yellow dot comes up or whatever. Like, I mean, what if you just missed the yellow dot and you were just a little bit slow that time? And
No, but the thing is, it gives you 3 attempts on it, remember? It gets your averages, it figures that all out. And that's the thing, like, when I ran this, like, a fair bit, I actually did record a video of me doing it and testing. I actually want to re-record it, just didn't come out quite right. But it gives you the average of 3 attempts at it all. And then if you're comparing the sober to impaired, it's quite interesting. Like, it's very easy to tell from there. So, like, if you've pre-tested yourself, but the standard of what it puts out on what they expect from people, it still seems to do pretty well. I reckon it would be worth run a trial on that fucking app.
yeah, I probably should have done it a bit more.
Use it more, and you'll be shocked at how well it like picks up that you're impaired.
Has that got traction, that app, recently since...
I haven't looked too much into it. It's a US university, I think, that developed it, and they've ran a study and stuff, and I think they're trying to put it out into the ethos, you know, to see which, you know, states or whatever things can put it into their legislation. And it's probably all like proof of concept.
Yeah.
So... it's to me, that just shows that that's how we could test for this. We don't have to have a blow into this. Why does that have to be the metric? Like, just because we've done that, why can't we have something else? It's like
100%.
Especially when those actual tester kits that they use for THC,
they don't work.
They've got a 40% margin of error. They got 20% each way, false positives and false negatives. Like, it's almost incorrect half of the time. It's like, why would you even use that?
It does not make
Convict
sense.
people of crimes using something that's wrong 40% of the time. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and then it's like, now you have to go into the into the cops and get a fucking blood test to, like, you know, do all that shit. And it's like, how invasive is that to someone's fucking life? Like,
and not only that, but I mean, if you've smoked 2 weeks ago, it's still going to
your blood test will show up
in your blood. So it's just not a practical way to actually test at all.
So yeah, testing for impairment is obviously the way, and I think, like, you know, I don't know. I kind of would say it would be nice to be able to leave it up a little bit to the cops' discretion. Have that conversation. See how functional they are. How can they communicate? Are they giggling? Are they being dumb? Like, make them fucking drive around. Like, I don't know. Fucking figure that out as well. I think there's something there for, I don't know, treat it as a human connection is kind of my thought process. Because it's like, if someone's impaired and they're stoned, like really stoned, you can fucking tell.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like, you can tell someone's cooked. But if someone's medicated like 2 hours ago, they could be a little more relaxed, and you could see it in their eyes. Like, you know, it's a little slanty, but it's not completely like, you know, bloodshot squinty. And would you call them impaired? It's hard to say. It really is. It's like, personally, I don't think so. I think if you medicated 2 hours ago, as long as it wasn't like, you know, I'm fucking dropping dabs and smoking like 3 joints and it was like a small vaporizer chamber, how impaired are you? Fucking fuck all.
And if you've got tolerance because you've been using for a while, that medication you used 2 hours ago, you're probably sweet. You're probably not even impaired, you know, an hour after, depending on how long you've been using for. So,
and I mean, even if you are potentially that little bit impaired, it may put you in that more relaxed state, and so you don't, like, if you are one of those people that has a bit more of a road rage, or has to be,
it could be
or not even
to your driving.
Not even just that.
Exactly.
Even if just like if in driving gives you anxiety, just if you're in the city and city bumper to bumper, or who knows, like like if someone has anxiety from driving for previous things, like if they had a crash or so forth, and like they have that anxiety, just being able to go about doing your day-to-day things.
With CBD, with like a full spectrum, you know, you've got a little bit of THC in there. What if that was picked up? Like, that's such bullshit. It's like there's no impairment at all with CBD, not even a touch. And CBD should be able to be sold to me at the fucking, in Woolies at a servo. Like, it's absurd to me that CBD is the way it's classed here. In Europe, you can go buy ounces of fucking weed in the supermarkets that's CBD buds. Did you know that? $50. Go buy a fucking ounce of CBD nugs. Just fucking chuff on. all over Europe. Just CBD buds, just in the supermarket.
Can you get full spectrum oils there too? Or?
Yeah, all full spectrum.
I think that's the way to go. Like, I'd after learning about the entourage effect and everything, I don't really see the utility in the isolate unless you've got something where it's like
they have a very negative reaction to THC.
Or there's someone that has a reaction to THC, but
isolates are dumb. They shouldn't exist, more or less. Like they can exist, but not as much as they're prescribed.
Yeah, CBD isolate, like especially, I just don't see the point. And the patient feedback that I've had, especially like at GreenHeart, it's just most patients, they try the isolate and they say, look, I'm not getting something, and I'm like, well.
The other thing,
you operate machinery for your work, mate. So I'm sorry, but
the other thing with CBD oil that a lot of people don't understand, and I think this is really critical if you're a doctor or you are just taking it and you've been prescribed, whichever way, you need to use it daily, and you need to use it for like pretty much 5 weeks before you see actual results.
Yeah,
and
titrate up.
You need to titrate up. You need to, be using it consistently to actually see it. And so many people think it's like, oh, I felt nothing today, or I felt nothing this week. It's like, but you need to keep using it, building it, and then you'll fucking notice.
Yeah.
Not only that, I think also, like, it may sound a little bit weird and whatnot, but like a diary, just like a little, I say a diary, but just like a note journal on your phone, like your journal. Yeah, just to like be able to say, like, I had it this day, maybe like just a rundown of how your day was at the end of the day. If you had a good day, you had a bad day, just to kind of, it gives you an idea of,
checking in with yourself.
Well, yeah, you kind of what are, if you're having your CBD, what aren't you feeling, you know what I mean? Or what is it not, like, what are you slowly starting to do? I guess what you really have to do is, like, pick up your body, be aware of your body and pick up on it.
Yeah. I hope a lot of this audience is medicated on CBD. If you're smoking THC and not taking CBD, I think you are doing a disservice to yourself. A lot of people like to say it does fucking nothing, but I think a lot of those people have never done it consistently. So
you've got to use it for a long time.
Yeah, it does work. But there is the room in Australia now for CBD to be over the counter, Schedule 4.
Yeah, at health food shops and stuff, right? As a supplement, or
those are out there, but they've put them as like hemp oil supplement. And they're technically CBD, but they're not like lab grade. It's just farmer like a farmer's, cooked it down or however they've done the extract. And it's all, normally it's actually probably better than the medicinal. Because you're probably getting more full spectrums and stuff, but you don't know what's a good brand, what's what. There could be some that are great, some that are rubbish. It's just, you don't know what. That's where I like the medicinal side, which, like, you'll eventually learn which products are good. Some CBD oils to me have been rubbish, some have been much better than others. But the thing I was going to say regarding the over-the-counter, no. So this is at the chemist. You technically, it was over 2 years ago, I think now, a year and a half maybe. They moved CBD into a form where it can be over the counter, but it needs to be a specific product that's being tested and regulated, and it costs like apparently about $500,000 to do these tests. You have to basically, I think it was a case of similar to the PBS stuff, where you have to prove that it helps a certain condition regularly and it quite consistently.
Yeah. Okay.
And there's a lot of it's an expensive trial to do. So there are a few of the medical companies that are trying to do it, but not too many have gotten the results required to pass the test. But whoever does do it first is going to make a fuck ton of money. Because when that news article came out, every pharmacy was hit up and everyone was like, can I get CBD oil? Like, a lot of interest got jummed up because there was just one news article. And they're all getting hit up and they're like, we don't have CBD oil because there's no product available that can be in that scheduling yet.
Yeah.
So I think there's a few companies that are going to maybe crack that in the next year or so. So it'll be interesting if that really is like a part of the gateway to the mainstream of people getting to experience cannabis on the regular.
Yeah, definitely. It would be good. I mean, especially you know, your oldies being able to go and get their oil from the health shop. The market's going to be opened up.
Yeah, and also like breaking down the stigma a bit as like, well, not a bit, breaking down the stigma a lot. If it's out there more in the public and kind of, I guess, in your face, people know, and like the research and I guess more the education
comes.
The education comes along with it, because people go, okay, I'm seeing more of this on the shops. You know, what is this?
Mitch, you've actually got an oil in your warehouse at the moment that has a clinical study for it, for insomnia. It's the
Medcan.
the Medbox.
The Medbox,
10,
that's
15,
the one.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah, they've actually got clinical study
studies
for insomnia.
That's cool. There's a few that are doing studies. I know Simra had their 25 to 10, and they had a really positive result with chronic pain, and they're trying to get it into the PBS system so they can prescribe it. And I was like, holy fuck, could you imagine your doctor scripts you are like, I think it was like 2510 or 2515 oil, and they script you that for like your fucking pain instead of some painkillers, and it's fucking $20.
Yeah.
Could you imagine, bro? Like, you're getting good quality oil that helps heaps with everything, and it's cheap, and the government's paying for it. I couldn't like, my mind was just like, holy fuck, smartest play ever. Like, pull that off.
Getting product on PBS, like, I know it's a long process and it costs a lot of money to do it, but long
once you
term,
do,
worth it, man, because the government's basically footing the bill for like 60%
well,
of the product.
people are fucking doing it, you know.
Yeah,
but yeah,
I mean, they're going to take our money regardless. So
yeah, and it's like, I'd love for that to go into a bit of weed, and whichever company decided to fucking do it, like, good on you, because it's a fucking commitment and it's a risky one. Because if it doesn't go through, you've just spent all this money, and it's like, shit.
As an environmentalist, man, more trees being planted in the ground and more trees being pulled out of the ground and harvested and put into jars, I think, is the way to go.
Yeah, fucking sealing in the carbon.
Yeah,
everything that, like, just the plant itself, the amount of like everything that it's like, it gives it back to the soil.
Yeah.
It takes out all the shit and brings along like the micronutrients and everything. Like, it's just. Yeah, like
It's so good for the earth, man. Like, shout out to Glenn Reed up in North Queensland. He runs this massive hemp farm, and he shows me some of the pictures up there. It is like, it must be a spiritual experience being able to walk through the plants of a morning as the sun comes up. Like, I think that...
Yeah, the hemp plants are beautiful. Like, there's countries where you go, like India and Vietnam and Thailand. There's sometimes just plants just growing on the side of the road, and I'm like, could you imagine just like seeing cannabis just growing freely around Australia? Like, just CBD hemp plants just all over. It's like, oh wow, we'll pick some buds and just try these from nature. Like, how good would that be?
I mean, well, isn't that the dream?
Yeah, it's the level that it should be. I do really wonder where the cannabis market will get to when it's actually evolved here, like pricing wise, because honestly, weed's so cheap. Like, you look at the problems going on in the US, companies are buying cannabis at $1 a gram.
Yeah, man.
Even less. So,
well, I mean,
will it become a marketing game where it's like, well, we got the best bags and you're going to pay the premium because we do? I think that's where it's going to get to. Unless we get to some sort of social club system, which is kind of where I'm... Like, I wish that's where we would go.
I mean, I definitely would love like the social club idea.
Yeah, fucking we convert the RSL so the veterans stop drinking and start smoking. That's what I've been saying for a while. I'm like, think about it. You just have a fucking vape bong bar, all the fucking cunts will just go there. Because think about it, it's our generation that will be going into these older places, right? Like, eventually, and the Gen Xers. What do we all fucking like? Video games, cunt. Yeah. We're going to just have fucking video games and board games and shit. We go get high with our friends and shit and play games instead of fucking gamble on fucking pokies.
Or just consumption.
Fucking idiots.
Keno up on the TV.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that like the other
the esports streaming, bro. Like the Dota or the Counter-Strike or, whatever.
I guess the other thing to that would be like consumption lounges.
Yeah.
Like consumption lounges.
Like a cigar club.
Yeah, like a cigar club and same thing. Like have memberships and so forth. I mean, like in a medical term, like a sense, like it would be good to be able to do that now.
Yeah.
Like, kind of have like membership that way you can kind of communicate and educate as well. Because I mean, every time, I don't know if I've spoken to another like weed person or cannabis enthusiast who doesn't want to talk about it and educate. And I guess I always try and learn something every time I speak to somebody, or if I don't learn something, at least I'm passing something on to them.
That's definitely one of the big issues that I see as well, is like, where's our space? We don't have one. It's tough. Like, I threw the party, and that was What a vibe where everyone's talking cannabis and that's all that's really talked about. And, you know, the medicinal side, hey, have you tried these products? Yeah, I have. It was fucking good. Good party. But, like, how do you do that in a regular day-to-day setting? I've thought about, could you do a cafe where people can medicate? It's like, it's sus. You need a smokers area and then they're outside and then it's kind of ruined the whole point.
Yeah. And it's also like, then you got to worry about other businesses, you know, complaining about
Stoner,
smell
riffraff.
and whatever. Yeah, as well.
It's a tricky one, but the what is it? The Mull Cafe in Melbourne. They've kind of tried to do that, I believe. Like, so what they've done is it's a cafe and they have like mocktails that are like terpene infused, which is kind of cool. And like they're connected to the Relief clinics.
I was about to say, yeah, I've heard about them guys. Only recently connected to the Relief guys. Yeah,
the Relief dudes are cool. They're really like, they have a little bit of that culture style. Like they're into the culture, so they tried to do that. And I don't know how it's going. I haven't been. I've heard things. I don't want to say anything. I really like the idea, and I've heard they've thrown on like little events that are closed door, and but I've heard patients are freely allowed to medicate there as long as they're vaporizing, and I'm like, that's pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, 100%.
And we've had like events for 420 where we've had a little bit of the medical community, and you know, we're hitting vaporizers outside like a bar or something. But for me, I really would love the vibe of being able to medicate inside a place around some couches, have some conversation, have a bit of music playing. I don't want to have to feel like a smoker because it's a vape, and it's a very light vapor too. It's not like an e-cig. It's not going to cloud up a room, assuming we're not on like ball vapes, but you know, it's fine. But anywho, we need a space. I think there's definitely a need for it. But the other problem I think with spaces is
Puts you in a box.
No, it's with cannabis, you attract a lot of people with a lot of very difficult situations. So you have people with mental health conditions, you have people with chronic conditions, and when you put them in a room together and, you know, there's a service attached to it and there's expectations, there's a lot of very, you know, I would say there's a general relaxed state that would generally exist, but you can also have a very agitated state that can have a little bit of like, I don't know, what's the culture? You know, is it uptown kind of like working professionals, or is it like your Ipswich like Eshays that are medicinal patients?
Yeah, me.
You know, but like, and then there's the in between, right? And it's like there's such a mix of people that use cannabis. Is that space going to be able to accommodate all of those types of personalities, or are these spaces going to have to be individualized? You know, where it's a little more curated of who typically comes through. That I don't have the answer for, but that's the way I kind of like to think about this space. It's like, who's coming there?
I guess that's just general culture and overall, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, like, depends where you go in different suburbs. I mean, and that's all. This is a whole big rabbit hole you can go down. I mean, that can come down to, you know, poverty and
here's
so
the thing.
forth.
If you have a space, right, people will travel far and wide. That's what I'm saying. Like, you're going to get a very vibrant, strange culture going on.
If you have a vape lounge though, I don't think you got to worry about the Ipswich boys, because no gatos, they're not gonna come.
They're not going to come.
Yeah, if you can't pull out the gato, then they're going to go hang out at the train station instead.
It's pretty valid. It's been a dream of mine personally to like open up like a HQ that's a cannabis lounge cafe. That's always what I've wanted. Like, I really would like to have like a board game, like hangout place. We put on music as well, like you'd have musicians. I'd really love it to have like jazz playing while we're getting fucking cooked.
Yeah.
And you've got like board games going on. So it's these fucking grown adults playing board games, listening to jazz, getting high. Like, it seems a little too far-fetched to be real. And I wanted it to be like a cigar club where it's like the Winchester, like fancy leather seating, and it's like high and we're all propped up and we feel fancy, but we're all just degenerates fucking getting cooked. You know?
I love it.
And I've always dreamt of like the cafe or the restaurant option. It would actually have like I'd call it like the clean and the dirty menu, and you'd have like the hemp infused and natural salads and like really good food.
Sick, yeah.
But then you'd have like the fried food on the other side, but it's all like tapas style. So you grab one of something and one of something else. And it's like you can go too clean or too thing, but the idea is it's like you mix match, get the chips if you want it, get the wings or whatever the fuck, and then get the salad on the side. And it's like,
bro, it's so funny that you like the idea of like sort of like
catering to everything.
Food.
Oh fuck yeah, I'd love that. That's the dream, bro.
Dude, yeah, that's my dream. I'm probably gonna get sued, but I want to open Americana diner, like cannabis infused. McDonald's.
You will get so
I'll
sued.
probably get sued, but you know
we're rebranding.
Yeah, we're rebranding.
We're Hungry Nicks.
Hungry Nicks. Yeah, let's go. But,
2 for
yeah,
1.
like I think
No. Nick's hungry.
like the cannabis infused food though, I think that's gonna be killer in the future, man. Like and yeah, like I am a cannabis like I've come from the clinical side into the industry, but ultimately
You're looking at the future.
I'm
a
rec user, and you know, like I love cooking. I'd love to be able to do that. That's the
I'm a
dream.
big cook as well. I love to make a mean meal. I reckon a part of the future, I reckon a good model is going to be you choose the milligram dosage and they'll like, you know, oil it into whatever they're cooking up for you. And so it's like, and you're paying for that dose. So it's like 10 milligrams, okay, $5. 20 milligrams,
so it's like
$10.
Yeah.
And you know, and you can't actually, the regulation is no more than 30 milligrams in one dish.
Also, just before we jump back into this is just a quick idea. I've always had like an idea for my podcast that I wanted to have before I get super baked. And then I had like these ideas where it's like imagine and I tell a story. So like just real quick, if only one type of animal in the world could talk English, what would the animal be? Like what would the best animal to be and the worst animal to be?
Oh man, fucking a dog and a bird.
To be the best and the worst?
Yeah, the dog would be the best because I love my boys. You know, good old doggos. And the bird would be the worst. I have a bird and it wouldn't shut the fuck up. But then again, maybe it would help to know what the fuck it's saying. So maybe that'd be the best.
That's what I mean.
Oh.
But then like if you got to think about it as well, like if you go deep, you'd be like
Whales and fucking dolphins and shit, bro.
yeah, you go hard and you're like, well, what about like if you think about all the animals, what do you think they see?
Yeah.
What about like some of the shit they see?
Oh, true.
Or just to be able to communicate to them.
Man, if you can communicate with a fly.
Tell it to fuck off.
Yeah, totally.
Bro, like the door's so big, you came through a little tiny hole, but the door's so fucking massive, you can't get out of that cunt.
I would get rid of mosquitoes tomorrow if I could.
Yeah,
Just
I've thought about it.
Universe.
I've thought about it as well. It's like if there was one act of genocide that was really acceptable, it's the mosquito.
Yeah, true.
And then you got to wonder, what's the flow-on effect of getting rid of mosquitoes?
Oh, well, man.
What? How do ecosystems break down if we don't have mosquitoes?
Oh,
More rabbits.
Shit would happen, obviously. But they exist for a reason, is my general assumption.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
I would say it's probably like protein for some amphibians that like would help with other things.
I'll reiterate. I would genocide mosquitoes that are within like a 10-meter radius of me wherever I walk.
Oh, do you
So
remember?
force feed, you know?
I don't know if you ever saw this. I think it was called the Kite. It was this fucking patch that they were advertising on like an Indiegogo or Kickstarter or whatever that would build a shield of mosquitoes from you. And it was like you just put it on and then it became a band. It was all a scam. It was a massive. They took fucking millions. And they were like, they hyped it up real and I was like, holy fuck, this is the greatest invention of all time. And I kept looking it up year on year on year and it fucking was nothing. It never amounted to anything. I think they ended up releasing some sort of spray. And it started as like an invisible patch that would build a force field because of like the smell or something.
Yeah, I'm real skeptical with a lot of that stuff. Like, I'm a fisherman, so I have to combat mozzies like regularly.
Yeah.
I'm just Bushman's is my go-to.
Yeah.
Oh, isn't it so carcinogenic?
But you put that shit on you, man, and you touch your face, and it just like it burns when it touches your sensitive skin. It's not good for you.
Yeah.
But it's the only thing that keeps them away from you. So.
What about the old coils?
Yeah, but when you're out though, like
It's so windy and
like the wind will just blow it. So
yeah, it's true.
when you're camping, it's alright, but Yeah, no,
Yeah.
outside of that.
Nah, mosquitoes, they're fucking soul-sucking little cunts, aren't they?
I got a good one. How many? Oh, what's the biggest animal you think you could fight to the death, and out of 100 times win 51 times? What's the biggest animal?
Like, so just even. Like,
So like out of 100 times you'll beat it 51 times. So it could kill you 49, but you'll win 51.
like you're just better than this animal.
Yeah, you're just better. What's the biggest animal you think you could kill?
Fuck, bro. Maybe just a big dog. Like,
Nah, fuck that. I reckon dog's got you, bro.
I reckon I'd fuck a dog more than.
I reckon you
51
could
times.
fucking chokehold a dog.
Yeah, I'd choke a dog. Yeah,
Like a big dog, though. Like, I reckon, like, you know, there's bigger dogs.
like that dog from today. I think that I would beat that thing 51 times.
Bro, I don't know.
That's a monster.
That thing today, I can't remember exactly what it is. Like this.
Do you reckon,
It's
how
like a
well
South-
do you reckon you could fuck up a koala?
Oh, I'd fucking punt a koala, bro.
Yeah, that's true.
That thing wouldn't stand a chance.
Nah, okay.
Do you think though? Like, do you reckon it'd just grab onto your leg real quick?
Yeah, like if it jumped at you.
The
like,
claws,
hooked in,
man.
bro,
Like they got the fucking claws
I've
and
got
teeth
a
on them.
fast switch kick, bro. I'd punt that thing.
What about a drop bear though?
Fast.
Yeah.
If it snuck up.
Alright,
on me.
I'm trying to think of other animals than dogs, because that's like, you know, basic. Could you take a wolf?
So I reckon a wolf would get me. I think a wolf
would
fuck
get
out.
me, yeah.
What are we talking about? What
Killing the
utensils?
fucker.
What utensils do we have? Are we just like bare
Yeah, it's
hands?
just
Bare
hands.
hand.
Like a cow?
A cow.
I don't think you could take a cow.
They're deadly.
Like, if you have to kill a cow, I don't know if you can take a cow.
Try.
You can get away from a cow maybe, but you couldn't kill a fucking cow.
I know.
Like, what do you do? Like, you'd have to find something.
Yeah, I reckon they just.
And also, like,
trample
yeah, you just get stomped.
you.
I wanted to say sheep, but like I know they're pretty stupid.
You can take
so,
a sheep,
yeah.
yeah.
Like I feel like that's easy. Like they're not coming at me at all.
Like, probably spider monkey you could take, but I don't reckon you could take a chimp 51 times. I reckon that'd be
Oh
the
no
most.
way!
Chimp would get you.
I don't know. What else we got?
Dingo?
I think you could take a dingo.
I think.
Oh yeah, I guess the dingo's on the same thing of the
Dingo,
of the dog,
I reckon
but-
you'd beat overall. Not always, but definitely I reckon you'd win out maybe a little more on a dingo.
Yeah.
They're not too big.
Their teeth aren't big enough to hit any major arteries or anything.
Yeah, you might just get fucked up from like bleeding so much.
Yeah. A wolf though, I reckon a wolf if it bit
It could pierce you in the neck.
It'd
It's the
literally
neck
break
where they
your
have to
arm.
fucking-
Yeah. If they beat you on the arm, it'd literally break your arm.
Yeah,
They've
it'll
got so
take
much-
off flesh.
So much bite power.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, so definitely not a wolf. What else we got? What other animals? We're thinking very doggy.
Yeah, everything
What
seems
about
to be
cats? What about cats? Like, couldn't do a tiger, couldn't do a lion.
Mountain lion though,
Nah, apparently mountain lions are fucking pretty.
Doubt it.
pretty hectic.
Yeah.
Coyote probably. but again,
Bobcat?
dog. Bobcat. Maybe a bobcat. Maybe a bobcat.
51 times, I reckon I could kill a bobcat.
They're not too big. You stomp the fuck out of them. But the problem is, like, if they just jump and go for your face, you're kind of fucked if they hook on.
Yeah, which they
That's
do.
the thing, like,
They
even just
don't
a
go
fucking...
straight for your face.
Bro, have you ever seen fucking crazy cat videos on YouTube where, like, little just domestic cats attack people randomly?
Yeah.
It's like, man, you wouldn't be able to kill that thing because you'd try and do everything. It'll just fucking skeet off.
Bro, cats are fucking alpha predators. If
Yeah.
if
They're
they,
just born to kill.
If they were 50 kilo roaming around, we would be in big shit. The
Yeah,
amount
not
of
even
cats
that.
exist.
25, bro, if there was enough of them.
Yeah, like, think about how many cats, like, exist in Australia, right? Just domestic cats. If they were,
Just
25 kilos,
2-3 times bigger. Just 2-3 times bigger. Like, that would be intimidating
they
as.
would kill everyone.
Surely you guys know about the Black Panthers down in Victoria.
The Black Panthers.
Yeah. The old Black Panthers down in Victoria, down in the mountains and so forth.
Oh, yeah.
There's actual Black Panthers in Australia.
Like, real, like,
Well,
real,
they
like,
reckon. They reckon it's back.
Is
in
that
the-
a football team?
No. Oh, probably. I don't fucking follow.
I don't
It's a
follow
Marvel movie, isn't it?
sports ball.
Oh, yeah, no. They reckon back in back in the day, like back in World War II or whatever, like the carnivals and stuff like that would just let them
Like roam out.
Well, they just let them all
release
go
them.
and shit like that.
Oh, yeah.
And they got into like there's only a couple around, but
They
there's some
exist.
footages. Otherwise, I mean, like there's some pretty big fucking feral cats. Otherwise,
I believe
I mean-
I've seen some massive feral cats up here, bro. I believe it.
yeah. So I mean, I'm just like I'm from Victoria, so I just know like there's always like that urban legend
That's cool. I like it.
The panthers in the, up in the
It is
forest.
funny in Australia. We have like some of the world's most dangerous animals, but at the same time, kind of the easiest animals to deal with.
Yeah.
Like, meanwhile in the US, it's like, cool. There's just a fucking bear looking at me. Like, what?
Yeah, no, it's always, for some reason, North Americans, like Canadians and the Yanks, they all say, oh, everything wants to kill you in Australia. But it's like, everything here is like creepy crawly.
Yeah,
like,
you see it from fucking ages away.
And like bacteria, I'll be like, we have lots of deadly bacteria for some reason.
I'd probably say the scariest thing we have in Australia to me that actually would scare me is like jellyfish shit.
Yeah.
That's like the really like,
the
you can't.
irukandji.
Yeah, man, I was in Cairns. And I was doing the old swimming, and I got so fucking sunburnt, and I was on an island that we had a ferry there, but some kid got stung by like an irukandji or something bad.
Yeah.
They had to helicopter him out, but it took like 4 hours to stabilize him, and the chopper's just going off. And I'm just like fucking back burnt to shit, crying in pain. I'm like, I just want to go home. I just want to go home. And 4 hours of just waiting there to leave, like, and that was so shit. And I'm like, man, but that could have been me. How much more shit would that be?
Yeah. And they're the size of a pinhead. That's what makes them so scary. Is that those irukandji, you can't even fucking see them, bro.
No. And then there's the other fuckers, the box ones, with the tentacles. They come out of nowhere too. Like, you'll find them it, but like those tentacles, they touch it, fucking.
Yeah.
That's probably the scariest thing to me in Australia. Like snakes and shit, it's like normally you can avoid them. They're not really too aggressive. They're trying to just do their shit. I've never really, like, maybe when you go outback ways they're a bit more attacky, but
yeah, the river estuaries in the tablelands, like, just because of saltwater crocodiles, they're fucking really scary because they actually like hunt you.
Yeah, true.
So like, I've been like, I come from up there, and I used to do lots of camping trips up there and stuff, and you'll actually see like the same crocodile follow you from like the mouth of the river where you put the boat in all the way up to your camp spot. Like, it'll follow you, and it's very, very creepy.
Yeah, crocs are fucking terrifying, aren't they?
And it's like, humans, we don't really give animals credit. Like, we think, oh, this fucking animal, they don't really, have a
they're not that conscious.
We don't think that they're conscious in the way we are, right? And they're not conscious in the way we are, but they are conscious. And like, their conscious is very scary. They are like the best hunters that exist.
Yeah.
From dinosaur era, so.
Yeah, they're fucking literal dinosaurs that have managed to survive.
Yeah.
I've got a bird, and like when he's wet, you're like, you are a fucking T-Rex, bro. You are a T-Rex, and I'm scared. And he truly is. Like, his beak comes out a little more, you see it, it's like, holy fuck. And you're like, oh, that's right. We found out that dinosaurs were probably feathered.
Yeah.
And it's like, true, birds are just little fucking dinosaurs.
Yeah, I love birds too. They're a bit creepy.
I hate my bird. I hate my bird. It's a very love-hate relationship.
Yeah.
He loves me and I hate him. No, he's all right. It's just, man, birds are a lot of work, especially if you get like a smarter parrot that needs that like personal like communication, because they live in flocks and they're social. So like, he just needs that attention, and depending on seasonal times of the year, like how much it's raining, or even just the weather, whether it's spring and stuff, mating season or whatever. They don't necessarily mate in spring. It's more to do with like when water happens and there's certain conditions. So he can just get really hormonal and get aggressive and just want to be with me more, or be more bitey. And then with my partner, he'll attack her more, just because of like whatever the fuck's going on in his brain.
Yeah, wow.
Meanwhile, there's other months where he's just docile as fucking chill, and we're all happy Larry, maybe a little bit of fuck ups, but it's like mostly like he's just a good bird, and you're like, oh, I love this little cunt. But most of the time, birds are fucking crazy. I do not recommend a bird to any sane person. Honestly, have kids, cunt. Like, it's a, like, especially if you work from home, it's a full-time job, and if you don't, the birds just fucking scream, and it's like you feel guilty on it. You need to entertain that fucking bird.
See, I think that's the thing. I'm lucky. Like, I don't have to deal with the downside, because my interaction with birds is I've got a feeder in the backyard.
Yeah, that's just fucking wild birds, and they're lovely.
And they're so used to me coming down. Like, I can hand feed the Maggies with mints and stuff, and like, that's my interaction. So it's like, everything's like, oh,
it's all copacetic.
This is really good relationship, and then when they're sick of me, they
just bugger off.
Off they go, you know.
Nah,
It's
I've
great
got a
relationship.
genuine relationship with the bird, and he has a memory. He will like. Days can go by, he doesn't see the partner, and he's maybe upset at her for something, and then he'll bite her as soon as he sees her. Like
really?
straight up. Just
Yeah,
sometimes,
wow.
like he can hold on to a grudge.
That's funny. See,
Yeah.
I didn't. Yeah, I've never. Yeah, that's.
They're like he's probably the intelligence of about a 3-year-old. Like that's how cognitive they are.
Yeah, wow.
They've got the emotions and like the ability to reason like a 3-year-old. The very like reptilian 3-year-old brain.
Yeah.
Wow.
So they throw
and he
lots
can
of
talk.
tantrums. and
Oh
I'm
fuck
guessing.
yeah! Like if he wants fresh food, he'll fucking scream into the fresh food bowl, and it echoes too. He knows it's louder. And he talks as well, so like you get a bit of attitude sometimes.
Oh,
It's, yeah, and then he's only like a small parrot. He's a Quaker parrot, right?
Yeah.
And then you've got the bigger parrots, you know, your macaws, your cockatoos, and stuff. Those guys have cognitive abilities of like 4 or 5-year-olds. Like,
Yeah.
And they'll fucking outlive you.
yeah, and they'll outlive you. The African grey is incredible intelligence, maybe even a 6-year-old. Like, there's a guy on TikTok, he's got one that he's been training, like, what materials are. So he'll get it to tap things and be like, what's this? And it'll be like wood or metal. Or,
Yeah. Wow.
yeah, what color is this? You know,
That's
it's
hectic.
doing that sort of stuff. And
Yeah.
it's like, how much of it is it cognitive where it's thinking about what it is versus it's just learned on reward?
is it, yeah.
But that's where it becomes, when you do it more and more, and he starts introducing new things, how accurate does it become? And so I think, you know, like that sort of stuff. Love the birds on that end, but like because of that, you've just got such a cognitive being.
Yeah.
The best thing about birds as a pet is they sleep 12 hours a day comfortably. Like you put them to sleep and cover them from like 7 to 7, they don't peep. Mine, put him at 7, he probably won't even peep till 9, 10.
Yeah, right.
Like you can get away with 10, but he'll start chirping up at about 9. Especially if he starts hearing noises like of us, because he's like, fucking get me out of here. But yeah, fucking, he kind of runs like a child in a sense, but it's nice because they sleep through the night. There's no issues there. That's the best thing about a bird. Well, I don't want to say the best, but it's definitely one of the easier things because like some animals are just non-stop.
It's pretty impressive that they have like the capabilities of even a kid that age. That's still pretty like advanced. You know?
Yeah.
And that's sort of like, I definitely believe that just lends more credence to, you know, animals being conscious. Like sperm whales, right? They have got upwards of 20,000 words in their vocabulary that scientists at the moment can decipher, but they'll actually like go out of their way to go, you know, and save other sperm whale groups that
Yeah.
they know are like in danger. They'll go out of their way to help them.
That's cool.
And like, because they know that that other sperm whale group speaks a different language, they will break their own language into a simpler form so it's easier to communicate.
Okay.
So they even like, they can functionally reason and like that's
Yeah.
very advanced consciousness for an animal. So
Yeah, whales and octopus and dolphins and shit. I've had an acid trip where I was thinking about, this was recent. I was thinking about the whole aliens thing. You know how they're like, aliens are here and we're finally going to get like
Yeah.
that knowledge. I love alien talk, right? Like I'm such a Blink-182 fan. Tom DeLonge's my like hero. I worship the motherfucker, right? And I love the alien stuff. But I've taken enough psychedelics to realize the fact is we are all aliens, and I reckon the dolphins and octopus and shit are just aliens in their own domain. They're just experiencing reality the way they fucking want to at the moment. And it's just, we're all just multi-dimensional beings, and we're actually the aliens that are here. I think when you actually look at it, that to me reigns true. And I think, you know, different races and things of people, that's just different types of fucking aliens that actually exist. I don't think we're humans from Earth anymore.
bro,
Could be a state of psychosis, but it's fine.
nah, definitely. I feel the dimensions thing when I did DMT.
Yeah,
Man,
fuck, bro. It's
man,
like, I'm
bro.
playing a character in this shit.
Nah, man, honestly, me and my friend had a full conversation from across the room without saying a word.
I've done that on acid a few times.
Our trip sitter said we did not say a word
Oh,
to
that's
each
cool.
other. We had a full conversation and could recall the whole thing.
That's cool.
It was like, yeah, this, like, I really, it changed my perspective on that.
Yeah,
time.
DMT made me believe in God. I was like, oh, true, nah, fuck no, we're definitely going to another place, dude. I was just like, there is no fucking way.
It's so funny how that's such a universal experience.
Yeah.
Though. How funny is that though?
Yeah.
Have you done DMT, Mitch?
Not yet.
Yeah.
Oh.
Shit.
Yeah.
There you go.
Atheist too.
I am, yeah.
Atheist? Okay. Nah, I've known atheists that have taken DMT.
Yeah, you're gonna be the test run.
Yeah.
No, I've known atheists that have taken DMT and come back still atheists.
Oh,
and
yeah,
still
definitely. Yeah.
People can be very grounded in what do you call it? Like the reality, the physical, right? It's very hard to
the
kind of imagine the
materials, yeah.
spiritual world if you haven't quite gotten into that, Ed. But the way I'd challenge you to think about it, if you're an atheist, is think about your imagination when you go up in your head. Where is that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm open-minded, but I don't believe in God, but I do. I mean,
Do you find reality to be accidental, or do you think it's more intentional? Like the way things pan out. Do you know what I mean?
oh, fuck.
See, like
that's a
you
hard
coming straight into the cannabis industry, you just sent off 20 fucking emails, and what do you know? Oh, hey, fucking, I'm in. It's like, it's to me, often it seems like reality just kind of gives you what you want. You have to put effort into it a lot of the time.
Yeah.
You can't always get what you want, but I think it's like a manifestation of like something from a higher plane to me, because it just seems like, oh, what a weird coincidence. What a weird coincidence. How did, and it's like, it's just too many things to me that line up to make me go, nah, this is all random and chaotic and we're all here just gonna die. Like, it's like, this all seems a little too thought out. It's almost like, to me, reality's too perfect. It plays too well. It's like, oh shit, here's that smack for not learning that lesson earlier. You know, like, it's like, why does that happen? It could just not, but it does.
Yeah. Like,
That's where I get really lost in, like, I almost feel like life's predetermined in a sense. It's like we have choices, but they just play out different realities. But all those realities are fucking determined. It's just pathways. And to me, that all stems from probably an idea when we were outside of this world, when we came into this world, of what we were wanting to learn and experience within the idea of human emotion and connection. Because imagine you were in a higher state of consciousness where you knew that you couldn't physically die, right? If you couldn't physically fucking die, it means you could never feel anything negative. There'd be no inverse to anything that you did. It would all just be happy, happy, happy. So as a result, you'd be pretty bored because you would have experienced everything. So you come back to this human connection world where it's a 3D fucking world where time also exists, where you are now defined by a bunch of fucking emotions and a bunch of like neurocircuitry, where a world exists where you get to play in. Right, and experience things that you wanted to experience from that higher self because you didn't get to experience it in that world. You're like, I wonder what it's like to fucking feel true sadness, or I wonder what it's like to have a fucking child and feel like, what is it like to like create energy outside of myself? You know, like that's how I like to look at the spiritual world coming into this world. Drugs.
No, I think like me and Mitch actually had a chat about this not long ago. You know, like I think the word God, right, has got such a stain across it.
Because fucking religion's fucked it up.
And that's the thing, right? Like, organized religion is the problem, right? They took the word God and they smeared it with, you know, like a history of bad behavior and also bad intentions in some cases.
I think
And it's so much easier to refer to God, right, as something like the natural force of the universe.
Yeah.
You
It's
know,
just like
it's just
the omnipresence that exists in everything.
exactly right.
Yeah,
Like I think that the word God has been so stained.
It's been a bit butchered.
And poor atheists that like actually understand the phenomena and the concept that people are talking about. They hear the word God and they go, but I don't believe in the God that
exists.
you're talking about. You're representing some religion that has nothing to do with what I'm talking
But do you know
about.
what gets me fucking going though? If you think about all these religions, there's so fucking many of them, right, that are propped up, right? Like there's quite a few. But isn't it funny how they all have a crossover? Like they all really link, and it's like there has to be a truth to me there. Yeah. You can't have so many fucking insane people and believe they're all wrong.
Yeah, there's universal,
like. How can there be such a truth that exists and be so wrong if so many people have found it within different ideas? And 100%. I think religion, when it was created, this is what I've always said. It's like we have the Old Testament and the New Testament. Where the fuck is the Bible 2.0? Like, why hasn't this shit been updated? Right? But, you know, and people have had goes at it and some have had success. Right? And those are those iterations. But it's like,
Yeah.
Where's the more modern one? And now we've got this weird like pseudo spirituality that's coming through kind of the internet, and it's kind of like internet spirituality.
Yeah.
Right? And it's kind of interwoven into psychedelic, and it's kind of the new modern religion. That's like our new way of making sense of reality. But I think if you look at like Christianity and all of those things, if you go back in time, right now it's causing us problems, and it's caused problems throughout history, but I'm sure that it's actually helped society as a whole function. So there was a little less murder, a little less killing.
Yeah, 100%.
People felt a little more judgments, and it instilled some values, and I believe you can get to that without that, but maybe it was needed. We don't know what that time was. It seems like a very fucked up time.
I think it was, and this is me coming, like I was a Jehovah's Witness as a kid, and then a staunch atheist as a teenager. Understandably so. And I think that, organised religion was like an essential part of human society becoming what it is today. Like without it, we would not have.
You wouldn't build a community the way it has
you just can't. It's the easy like let's do this, and it's like
let's have a unified belief so we can actually move forward in some sort of progress.
Exactly, like it's an essential thing. But where I think a lot of people have been put off by especially like by the term God, is that all the good intention, all the good work that has been done gets so sullied and like that, the spotlight gets shown on that.
Yeah.
And then it ends up going, well, you did this one thing, boom, all the rest of your good work's gone.
Is invalid,
And
there's some validity to it though, because it's like, for example, the fucking pedos in Hollywood, you find out about Spacey being a creep. It's like, is his work now invalid? No, but like, do I really want to like support anything like that? Not really. Like, no.
I try to separate the art from the artist as best I can, but like, there's some.
You'll be conscious more of it.
There's some things that I'm just like, when I see him now, I'm like, even his performances, like not specifically that actor, but like other people, I'm like, well, I just don't see you the same way now.
Yeah.
So the character's like,
it's a bit of a
already
dead character.
Been stained.
Yeah.
And like, it's an unconscious thing. That's something that happens before. It's not even an analytical thing. It happens from the gut, so.
Got to trust that a little. But where the other thing that with religion, and this is where I'm really envious, like I felt like religion was a scam since I was like 7. Like I did a bit of church stuff, like Catholic, family's Catholic, and we moved up to the Gold Coast from Melbourne, and there was a chick in the complex where we lived that I liked, and her family went to church, so I went to fucking church, and I fucking saw through that charade real quick, and I was like, I'm just here to get some puss. I'm 7, but I got to sleep in her bed one night though, so that was cool. She was 9.
Oh Jesus.
But I always was off religion, and then when I became a teenager, it was very much the atheist kind of rhetoric, and I like lived in that for quite a bit till probably about uni, and then I started having some cannabis, I had some psychedelics. It changed things, and even before I started to see like maybe a little bit of merit in some things. But the thing that I guess that I am envious of people who are religious, because they can just assimilate into a nice community. Like there are definitely bad actors within all communities, I think, but by and large, like, a lot of churches, especially in Australia, I won't talk about the US. Actually, no, I will. I'll mention that later. But it was in one of the other podcasts with Irish. It was really good. But like here, they'll help people that are homeless and in need and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And they've built this little community where you can go on a Sunday or whenever and hang out. Like I'm Croatian, and we've got a Croatian church. So the Croatian community gathers there, and it's a place for people to meet. And it's all old fucking wogs that are religious and still will be. But I wonder, with religion declining so much with our generation, Gen X started it, and Gen fucking Y, us, fucking really kept it, and then the Zoomers even more. Where does that community all start to go? Like, where are we going to find that? Is that going to just be fucking Discord groups? Is that,
political radicalization.
Political fucking politics has become a big one of that.
Essentially.
And see, that's where the conservatives have it a little bit correct to me sometimes, where I'm like, they're like talking about, having the church back and bringing that in and that sort of thing, and that's what's destroying it. It's like, it's true, but that's only because the only other option is these political fucking divides now. It's like, that's where people fucking end up sitting, and it's like, we probably need to have these communities. And again, we're coming back to the Cannabis Club. That would be my thing. My church, personally, is fucking gigs. I go to a gig, I feel like I'm in fucking church. You get like, and they've assimilated the same feeling that church people get to people who go to gigs, because you're around a similar belief. You all have the same love of like what you're praying to, which is the band, which is singing back and forth with. And you're sharing like a shared experience with a group of people, so it makes you feel grounded to being a fucking human. That's my form of gig, but
That's really interesting.
yeah,
Like, I know this, it's like popped out of nowhere, but like, yeah, if you think about it, like that is really, really interesting about having a community together, like, and the senior aspect of it. I mean, there's probably a lot more like psychological.
like how much that helps just
Yeah.
to be around people.
Yeah,
like,
100%.
you know, we're talking about it sucks as us as cannabis patients not being able to communicate with others very easily, like have a space for that. There's something we're yearning for effectively.
Yeah.
And you know, when you think about where does that all come from, it's probably a lot of it's like grounded in that religious or like even like tribal, where we're gathering around fires, having community and stuff. It's like that's so disconnected from our modern reality, which is just sad. Need a little more of that.
Yeah, and you know, ultimately, like I am in the medicinal industry, but I believe that medicinal is the Trojan horse.
Yeah, I think
For,
so. For just everything cannabis.
Yeah, and like not just cannabis either. I think that, you know, there's a lot of data coming out about psilocybin,
The ketamine.
treatment, MDMA treatment for PTSD, like Sweden and like Scandinavian countries. The studies coming out about MDMA and PTSD is just mind blowing, and I think that a lot of social attitudes are going to be changed in the near future, and
It's just till we get there.
and I'm you know, I come from the care industry. Like I was a brickies labourer before I started, you know, nursing, and I got into nursing because, you know, I wanted to look after the old girl, and then I just got stuck in it, and I finally got into this great job that I love, and now I get to be a part of, you know, the growth of the industry and being able to make it, you know, even better.
Yeah.
I'm really happy about that.
That's a good place to be. Like when you're able to find like fulfillment in what you do, and you see it as like a brighter future, it's like you're driving towards something bigger than yourself.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
And
Yeah.
I think that's where I think the cannabis stuff really coincides. It's like, for me, I thought about it. I watched a video and it was like, for business, it's like pick an industry that you want to be a part of for like 10, 20 years and make a difference in. And like, that's where you got to kind of put your energy and really commit to it. And I was like thinking about it, I'm like, where the fuck would I care? Like, I don't care about so many other things. It's like, there's not much that's exciting. It feels all done, explored, or like developed, and you're just kind of iterating. And here it's like, shit, there's so much to discover and explore, and
This is
it's
the
so
Wild
new,
West, yeah.
and you just see this great impact to fucking society, as you said. Like, you just know that this is absolutely the future, and if it's not, like, we have to fight for it to be. Like, I just went full autistic on it. I was like, I don't understand. Why is this illegal? Why? Like, I just read studies and studies and studies, and I was like, this doesn't make sense. And I was like, needs to be fixed.
Yeah.
Needs to be fixed. And I just kind of got it in my head, I have to do something.
Yeah, learning about the propaganda about the paper mills, and like
Yeah.
the person that owned the paper mills in the US owned the newspapers as well.
Yeah.
And so there was just marijuana
Yep.
in air quotes, you know.
I really-
propaganda. like it was a coordinated effort to, you know, make this a prohibited substance, and it's, you know, a shame that that's not common knowledge.
Yeah. The thing I actively try and do, I don't know if you boys are this way, but I actively try and not say marijuana. I hate the word.
Yeah,
it's
it's-
fucking racist.
It's
and it's
propaganda.
grounded in the propaganda.
Yeah.
So I really try not to say marijuana. When everyone's like, oh, you're on the medical marijuana, I'm like, no, I'm on the medical cannabis.
Cannabis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cannabis is what it is, or it's fucking Gucci, or it's fucking Nugs, or it's Buds, but it ain't fucking marijuana. It's fucking gross. Puh.
Because the origins of it was, it was like
The
the
Mexican
Mexicans
kind of
coming over
word,
the border and raping the white women, like what
While
the
smoking
What
marijuanas.
the fuck, man? Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like absolutely wild that it even caught on like it did. But I mean, and that's the thing. Like,
Propaganda,
fear
man.
works,
There was
man.
nothing else out there. That's
Fear
the thing.
works, yeah.
See, now governments, the big problem they've got is there's just so much propaganda out there, and they can't control the narrative
And it's
anymore.
distrust now. Distrust is
Yeah,
the
no one
problem,
trusts
yeah.
anything, except everyone trusts what they don't trust. Do you know what I mean? Like, if the government says one thing, okay, the other thing is absolutely true. That's now fact. That's it's pretty fucked because it's like it's not always the case.
They
It probably
could-
isn't most of the time actually.
Yeah, and like we don't want to get to a position where they're just reverse psychology either. Like
Yeah.
I think that more transparency and like ultimately it all comes back to education, doesn't it? It's like transparency and education is going to fix a lot of this.
Yeah, it's tricky because big media is also just already invested into the social and how we're having content distributed to us. That propaganda's fed to us day in day out. We just see it like it's like they've just created propaganda for no matter which narrative you follow. You've got your propaganda. Like that's what exists. So it's like right, left, alt, whatever fucking you are. You're just finding fucking echo chambers of all the same rubbish, and it's like it's fucking leading nowhere. It's really, really frustrating. I follow a lot of politics. Like politics is like fucking fourth hobby.
Yeah, right.
It's fucking disgusting. I hate it.
No, I'm the same, man. I call it rage porn,
Yeah, it's I don't know. I think we should fucking wrap up because fucking politics talk sucks.
This is going to turn into one of those.
I want to end this one on what flowers on the medicinal market are working for your conditions. What are your favorites? Like, what do you want to get rescripted regularly that you've recently had?
I know this is going to be a little bit controversial, but the cereal milk, the baggy smalls.
Oh, you like it?
I like the cereal milk. I don't necessarily like the whole...
How it burns?
Well, just the baggy smalls aspect of it, but I mean the price and like the actual quality of the flower. Well, the strain itself, I actually found it really vibed with me, but unfortunately I can't. It's not on the market at the moment. But otherwise, what am I currently on? I'm on the Royal Gorilla by the Chemovar, which is the Chem Sister, the Sour Dub, and the Chocolate Diesel. It's really nice.
Fucking, that's some exotic good. It smells great. It smells very nice. It has that chocolate terpene, actually. Yeah. Is that the only one? Or, yeah.
I mean, I got the Medcan stuff, the Ultra 01, which I believe...
Is that the sour?
Yeah. Look, to be honest, I was really a bit disappointed with it.
I've had that a couple of times, and I really liked it, but I've heard of meh batches.
Look, man, I mean, like this...
Man,
yeah, I think I got a bad batch because, like, it had just dirty trim. Like, there was just stem everywhere, and it seeded...
Like, these nugs look alright.
Yeah, like it's...
They're seeded there, though.
They're seeded, though. That's the only problem.
That's a bit rude, isn't it?
Like, they're not fully grown seeds. They're just starting to develop, so it's been stressed. But, I mean, otherwise, for what you pay for it, like, a little bit
the
disappointing.
Medcan stuff is a little pricey for what it is.
Yeah.
But some of it's fucking really nice. That strawberry cheesecake they've got, I really liked. And their HGH was really nice. That's like a 30% of they've got. I forgot what the genetics are though, but that was fucking... but that's a bummer that it's got some pre-seeds. That is one of the things that frustrates me with the medical. It's like, come on, we're paying top dollar. We expect pretty good stuff, guys. Like, come on. Like,
Well, I mean, that's the whole point.
price it appropriately. If it's got seed, fucking make it cheaper.
Well, I mean, you know, if it's supposed to be medical, then it's supposed to be, you know, tip
Of
top.
the highest quality, yeah.
It's supposed to be.
But see, like, that's kind of like the argument for why maybe small bags like that shouldn't exist.
Wow.
Right? Is that tip top? But it depends who you ask. Some will say yes, some will say no. I don't know. What flowers have you been enjoying, Nick?
So last week I've had the apples and bananas. With,
Ndoka, beautiful.
From Ndoka, and yeah, I've got that mainly because that one's just been the absolute talk from everyone, and yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Absolute
Great flower.
chef's kiss, that one.
Yeah, just that appley taste. It's not the banana. Like, I don't get much of the banana terpene, but the apple.
Yeah, like it tastes like apple, and like yeah, the flower quality is bloody like top notch.
Yeah, beautiful.
And yeah, it's
Good price point too, actually.
Well, I mean, I got it on sale. They had 2 jars, $2.98, so it was
That's
less than
alright.
$15 a gram. So I mean, for that quality, I'm
always quite
happy to pay for that. And then before that, I got the Sadovite Drag.
Oh yeah, the dirty banana.
And liked it.
I liked that. It was heavy.
Yeah, those have been my last 2 scripts. I personally I really liked the Chemo the Daily Grape. I don't know how the batches have been since the one I got, but the batch I got, it was really nice. That's been my favourite so far. So.
Yeah, I've seen some cool photos of it, and I've smelt it a couple times, but I haven't had like a tub to myself. But I had the Platinum Grapes, which was a compounded flower, and fucking hell. And it was very similar in profile to me. It was like... could even be the same fucking weed, just kind of rebranded.
It could, it very well could be. Like, I don't have access to their stuff, unfortunately.
At UIC, I talked to the guy who was like one of the breeders of the Platinum Grapes that I got, and he's like, it's not Platinum Grapes, it was some other strain. He's like, they just fucking slap other names on it. There's like a supply, and then they sell it off to people, and they're putting other names on it.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of an issue with genetic control, I suppose.
Yeah. People fibbing, I suppose.
Yeah. No, for me, what have I enjoyed? I got the Durban Poison from Simra, so I did a podcast with Joel, and I knew I wanted to get the Simra Durban because I found out about that, and I loved it. It was really good. Bud's a little smaller, but he said buds are coming out to be bigger soon, and that living soil's just improving time on time, and man... it's grown outdoors, living soil, in the sun. It is delicious. It's one of those that really like tipped me over. We've been having the Queen Sangria, and I really... it tastes great. I don't love the price. It was like $175 for 10 grams, and it's like... ugh. It was good though. It was good. That was Alfie, and Alfie has nice stuff. Like, never disappointed, but the wallet hurts on the Alfie. It's like, I'd rather get 10 grams... of something at like 140 and then get, because I grab like 6-7 tubs at a time most of the time.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's like, though, if I get like 3 Alfie, it's like, well, that's a new tub. So I grabbed one. And then I've had the Euroka from Satavite, and it's a sour mango, but to me, it smells like an XPA beer. Think about like a XPA, like sour kind of something or other, and it has that like hops. I don't know. It smells like beer to me.
Yeah, I could guess.
It's hoppy, kind of like that.
Yeah, that hoppy, like real fruity.
That sour stench that comes out a little bit. Like you think about like a sour beer. I don't know. It just really hit the nose that way. But I really enjoyed that. But it says it's 29%. I kind of don't believe it. It doesn't feel like it's a 29. I've heard like in the companies, like when they do the percentage test, that's like all active cannabinoids that they add up to the number, and it's like including the CBD and all the little micros, and like they've perked it up somehow to get it up to there. And then also because it's got like a range of like 2% up and 2% down for how it can be, it becomes a whole thing of like the bud's not actually testing at that.
Yeah, I mean, that's where you can go back and look at, like, I believe Catalyst, Honolly.
They don't always publish that, like, fully.
No, that's right. I was going to say, unfortunately, they don't always publish, like, the COAs for each batch. But, I mean, if you're going back and look at them, I mean, that's the best spot. That is the best spot. But, yeah, like you're saying, like, unfortunately, there isn't, like, the TGA guidelines are kind of so great at the moment.
Yeah.
It's a bit unfortunate. Like, I wish they would kind of, I guess, help us, help them.
Yeah. They really need to loosen up the advertising stuff, but they won't.
Yeah.
They're going to fucking tighten down, but I really wish they would, because not even advertising, it's more marketing. I want more knowledge out there for patients. It's not fair that patients don't even know that there's better products out there. That shits me.
No, that's definitely right.
Yeah. But at the same time, it's like I understand that it's like they really don't want it to seem like it's a model for like people to look for drugs. Like it makes sense that they don't want marketing.
Yeah, I think they really saw what happened in Canada, and they're trying to really stop that from happening here.
Yeah,
and
but they really should. But they really shouldn't though. It's like, man, people deserve to be able to find quality product. They deserve that. I think like that's something that the TGA doesn't recognize. The benefits of marketing is the good normally outweighs the bad, because the patient's more informed, the market matures and has a better understanding, and then the standards raise across the board, which is ultimately their fucking goal. Like, what's the goal of the TGA? To regulate and make sure standards are fucking met. That's what they're trying to do. And it's like, how do you do that better than the fucking the people actually voicing that by being able to see marketing?
Oh man, like when I've like going by TGA guidelines, right, while I'm trying to, make flyers for GreenHeart Medical, it's insane. You're not able to actually put anything on there related to what the clinic is.
Yes.
Right? So GreenHeart Medical, right, on this flyer, it's just like, it could be a fucking
GP.
podiatrist.
Yep.
Like, you know what I mean? And that it's made people's jobs a lot harder from the education standpoint. Especially like earlier I said, 1 in 3 Australians actually are eligible for medicinal cannabis treatment. And that's based on, have you had a chronic condition and have you had previous treatment for that? That's it. Those 2 categories. And then there's exclusionary things, like you don't want to be pregnant, obviously.
Yeah. And you're not allowed to make claims, you know, like you can't say we help with anxiety with natural plant medicines. You can't say it.
Exactly. Like, and I think that's probably actually...
It's a hindrance.
It's like, it's a detriment to the patient too, because when it just says, help alleviate symptoms with plant-based medicine, right? That's not specific to them. They can't connect when they see that.
Yeah.
And that's like, it is a detriment to the patient. They're missing out on an opportunity there to get the treatment that they're, you know, is best going to suit them. And I deal like directly with the patient side. Mitch deals with the extremely stressful side of, you know, the warehouse and doing the like actual wholesale distributing and working with all the businesses. And it's a massive step up from what I'm used to, but yeah, I love it. And I think that the way that we can push forward is, ultimately by pushing for the ability to be able to educate patients directly and not having to go through channels where you're employing pharmaceutical reps and you're going to pharmacies or doctors, and then ultimately like they're middlemen to the patients, because then you're relying also on doctors to be actually educating the patients fully on the products, on the treatment options. And if they've got incentives to prescribe certain things, then that sort of is null and void at that point, you know. So like, the system is like early stages, and I see a lot of like change in the future from like the medical side. And I don't know how that's really going to affect the wholesale distribution side too much, but I mean,
we'll see where we go.
Yeah, exactly. It is what it is, I think.
It's a time to be alive. We're going to see probably like fucking a lot change and a lot stay the same, and we'll just kind of end up somewhere and be like, wow, we went through all of that to get to this. And you know, like there's a period where if you only were dying could you get medicinal cannabis, and it was costing you $800 an ounce. Like, I got medicinal cannabis a bit early and I fucking didn't want to get it again because it was such garbage shit. And it was so expensive. And now it's like, holy shit, this is cheaper than on the street, and it's higher quality and it's better.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of the big takeaway here. If you are a rec user and you don't have a steady, great supply, and you know you're kind of using it medicinally, you know, maybe consider going on the legal market so you can be part of the solution, because the more patients we have, the bigger the voice kind of becomes for us. Like, we become a bit of a lobbying power because, well, 1, we're generating GST for the government and paying for that, and 2, we're patients. We should probably be respected enough that we have needs that need to be met. And this is the system. So I think just having more patients around just makes, like, you know, nothing negative happening. Oh, all these people smoking weed and it's all good. I don't know. Can only loosen up things.
Yeah, exactly.
But thanks for coming on, boys. It's been 2 hours.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Right.
We have gone into some interesting talks from your ways of coming into the industry, from patient experiences into fucking aliens, into fucking fighting animals
whales
and
there
shit.
for a while.
We've talked about a few things, and I've enjoyed myself. I hope you guys have too.
Most definitely.
We are definitely medicated, and with that, I wish you a happy day and a happy night, and I hope you fucking smoke a joint this week. I hope you have a joint with someone you like, and you have a good conversation. Until next time, this is The Fap.